In terms of the role of national planning and budgeting in supporting green development, what are some of the policies and systems that need to be in place to align Sri Lanka's development trajectory with the concept of green growth? Could we hear from you, please? Thank you.
Right. National planning, I mean, it is the intention is to ensure there is an integrated approach. And if you apply that to the environment, it would mean to align investments with environment policies. And the end objective of that exercise essentially would be to establish an incentive structure so that the financial resources flow into environment-friendly and green projects. And over time, other economic resources like land and labor would also switch to these sectors and ensure that overall there is a reallocation of resources that will support sustainable growth in the long run. Now, I think the previous speaker touched on it. One of the key sort of constraints to that is there is asymmetric information out there. Even if you have that, planning process in place, it needs to be translated into a regulatory framework. And what is a green project? How do you assess whether a project qualifies as green? And that means you have to set standards by which you recognize a project as green. And in that sense, you are then able to mobilize a plan into action by incorporating certain mechanisms to get it implemented. There are mandatory reporting requirements that apply. Firms and companies can be asked to report on their ESG-related risks and how they're complying with that, mandatory reporting on corporate social responsibilities, etc., so that any investor has a much better sort of opportunity to assess the cost benefits of investing in companies that are taking a environment-friendly approach, look at whether those rates of return are reasonable, and ensure that there is a regular flow of funds into these green initiatives. If you don't have that framework, then I think it will remain something on paper that we've committed to without essentially implementing it at the ground level. And then that regulatory structure, I think, is also very critical for Sri Lanka to look at what are the new asset classes that we can really hope to tap. I mean, a lot has been said about green bonds, but given Sri Lanka's problems with conventional bonds right now, I think we have to also look at how to bridge the gap between ambition and reality.